Welcome back once again. It is time for the last discussion of Orguss. It's all Orgover now. Get your Orgon crystals out.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep sniff. A little touch, and get ready for us to talk about the very last bit of Orguss content. Orguss 02. My name is Shane, and the person saying yeah over there is the co-host Mel. Hi, Mel.
I spent I spent 20 years building this microphone because for some reason we had unfinished Orguss business because the last podcast left Earth strands behind apparently.
Yeah, a weird. Let's say because I spent it's like 35 years building a microphone, another like 85 years just building a router. That was a hard part. 180 years building the internet. Like 480 years building a good community on the internet. Just one, not a lot, just one community.
Yeah. I spent like 20 years programming Discord, and it took me like 50 to figure out how to make an actually good server.
It took me thousands of years to learn how to take out the memes and the loading screens. That was really the big. And by the time
it took me like 800 years to realize maybe I shouldn't have a not safe for work channel because that just makes everything worse.
Oh yeah. You don't want to be looking in there.
No.
Got Manny shoes in there.
He did say to talk about the shoes.
Yeah, Manny sent us a picture of his yellow shoes and said, "Please talk about these shoes during it." So that will be our first. I think 45 minutes. We'll cut out for that. Talk about the yellow shoes.
Yeah. Would you? I cooked up the podcast art for my feed. Would you like to see it? I think this is one of my best works.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's still fitting in with the normal Detour Quarry staples, but I think it's good. Let's see your reaction to it.
Oh, that's scary, threatening.
Yeah,
audience, if you have been just kind of pawing your way and not looking at the podcast art, well, I guess you could be on my feed. Maybe I'll steal your feed and then just put like a trademark or a copyright over it, so now it's mine. That's good. Yeah, but this is
the thing is that the car from the dinosaur tank episode of Ultra 7 would not make sense on your feed.
Yeah, that's true. You got to watch the dinosaur tank episode. I don't think that episode is actually very fun or interesting from what I remember. It's kind of
no, I think it's fantastic. Like dinosaur tank is only part of why it's ridiculous because it's also the episode where Dan, who is Ultra 7, is really into rally racing for no reason. And so when the Ultra Guard is like, hey, we got a job to transport this bomb from one place to another, Dan is like, what if we did it disguised, we did it in the disguise of a rally race? And everyone's like, this sounds like a good idea and totally safe. And then at one point, one guy uses a mandolin that's a machine gun disguised as a mandolin. It's ridiculous.
Okay, that sounds more fun than I remember. But Dinosaur Tank is cool. I think everyone can agree. Put aside
not Toru Naruto, apparently well established. He quit the show because he did not like making Dinosaur Tank.
Really, that bad?
Yes, he had some proclivities. He was really anal about what a real kaiju design was.
He needs to get over himself. Sounds like
he's dead
probably
now,
dead at this point. Oh yeah. Well, rip. He got over himself in heaven or hell. We're covering an OVA today. The sequel came out quite a bit after Orguss.
Yeah. 93.
How many years? When was Orguss originally? That was 83?
82 to 83 probably.
Okay, so
around a decade.
Yeah. And you have some fun little research facts for us?
Yeah. Well, I did. First of all, I don't know why they made this, other than I saw some stray comment online when trying to look up why they made this. Someone said, well, maybe it was just in the in that kind of wave of where they just made OVA reboots for stuff, and I looked it up, and Macross 2 came out in 92, and then Macross Plus came out in 94, so this is just right in the middle, which is funny.
Yeah, no, makes sense. I will be interested to compare this to Macross 02 when I get around to it. It kind of being I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. I was very surprised by how I was.
This is a weird one because it's its relationship to Orguss is weird, and it's a lot shorter, and as a complete package, probably better. And that's an interesting thing to sit with.
Yeah, not
I also, I
usually enough
also,
of
I
these.
also, I also liked the part where we only had to watch 6 episodes, because 12 episodes is a lot, and I know this because I did 12 episodes of Orguss, but also the main Detour Quarry, where like the first series we've done and the only one so far on the main feed is Mirror Man. We also did in 12 episode batches.
Oh God, how long are those episodes?
I thought they're the same length. They're like half an hour. It's like a fake Ultraman show.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like, do whatever no matter how much you plan ahead, you always end up watching most of those 12 episodes the week before, and it takes you out. Funny enough, we did like all of Orguss in between the third and final Mirror Man episode, but that's out now. So,
Yeah, go watch it. Go watch Mirror
context
Man.
for people who are not on the LGQ feed.
Yeah, if you're on my feed, I do have a little bit of news there. Manny said he should be able to start recording with me again soon. We've been got better places in our lives. We're just able to get a little bit more place to it, and not to get into the drama, but we had as you all know, you've been listening to my other podcast called I Hate Manny, or Manny's podcast called I Hate Shane. We have had a huge feud last few months. We've kept mostly off camera. That has gotten resolved. Multiple marriages ruined, but it's okay now. So we're gonna get back into the Robotech side of things. Luckily, yeah. Most of you thought. Oh, go ahead.
Hopefully this one won't be resolved by like confronting your past selves and shooting each other.
No, yeah, that's all done with. That's all good. Hopefully, Ultra Q never has the same sort of intense drama being Manny had.
No, it'd be something weird like couldn't think of an Ultraman equivalent to whatever the fuck's going on.
That's fine. I should say, by the way, I am joking. There's no drama between me and Manny, and also not joking. We should be starting again very soon, so that'll be exciting. I mean, not so much for us.
Southern Cross.
Yeah, I had seen that next episode. It was like so boring. I barely paid attention. So I don't know if the break will help me with that, or it's just going to kind of suck for a bit. But we're gonna do the work, and then maybe one day we'll finish it and get you a better podcast. Anyway, yeah, here don't got to worry about none of that. We're talking about Orguss. Sorry, I think I cut you off a little bit. Any more research stuff to get into, or we good to kind of go to the summary?
This is done by JC staff, so not any of the studios of Orguss originally. The director in the original story is apparently by Fumihiko Takayama, who also did War in the Pocket, which is maybe why the story is pretty good. We also have, like, as far as scriptwriters go, we have Hiroshi Yamaguchi, who worked on Metalink, Aquarian Evil, and Aikatsu Stars. That's important. Have to remember Aikatsu is a Sunrise franchise. Mayori Sekijima did Bottomless Finder, and Yuji Kishino, who's done basically nothing.
Cool.
They also have character designer
big
guy.
Big War in the Pocket person? Are you a big War in the Pocket person?
It's the only UC OVA I like.
Yeah,
if it's
probably pretty there.
Yeah, like if it's a Tomino thing, I like it, and if it's not Tomino and it's not War in the Pocket, I think it's garbage, pretty much.
Yeah.
Cold take if you're like in the abnormal mapping circle, I'm sure, but character designer is Toshihiro Kawamoto, who also did character designs for OAS Team, which I dislike, as you alluded to, and also Cowboy Bebop, which is a pretty good show.
Yeah, pretty obscure. Most people aren't.
Yeah,
most people don't know about that one.
Fun fact for anyone listening to this on Shane's feed, I watched that for the first time 2 years ago as part of my big Lupin the Third watch. Where I just slotted in release order wise. I was like, Cowboy Bebop is Space Lupin, so I'm gonna watch it this way.
I don't think that's true. I don't. Someone that's watched a lot of Lupin and Cowboy Bebop, I think those are very different vibes of shows.
I mean, the vibes are different, but there's a lot of very obvious, like, taking certain characters and putting them in from Lupin and putting them in a new context. Who's the
Lupin of Cowboy Bebop?
It's fucking Spike.
Absolutely not. Spike is so lethargic. Lupin is a monkey cartoon character, man. Spike is like barely hanging on each day. Lupin does not have a tragic past. I don't see it.
I mean,
They're the main character. That's the same.
Lupin doesn't have a past because they change. To the degree he has a past, it's contradicted by multiple entries, which is how it should be because he shouldn't have a defined past.
Yeah, no, I mean, but whenever he does have a past, it's never like, oh, this is like something deep and
I mean,
sad that happened.
when I say that Bebop is Space Lupin, it's partly in jest, but also like it is like a described by the creator's influence. It's just obviously they took like the framework to make something different.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like it's you can draw a line for like you can say, oh well, I can see the ways in which Spike is inspired by Lupin, even if like because he has like his own shit going on, the lethargicness, he is like his own character.
Ed is a Lupin more than Spike. That's what I think.
I mean, I think
Ed's not old enough to get really into base.
Spike plays the role of Lupin, but I guess Ed is temperamentally is more like Lupin.
Yeah.
Vicious does just do Goemon shit though.
That's so rude to get. That's the meanest thing anyone's ever said about Goemon in their life. Like Vicious is lame. Goemon's cool. There's a difference.
Goemon is. It depends on the work, because sometimes Goemon is fun because like his appeal is that he's a fish out of water, and so the best Goemon stories are the ones where he's completely out of his depth. Like there's an episode in part 6 where like he helps a fashion designer in the Arctic and pays her back by being a fashion model for her.
Good.
But also the weakest Goemon stuff is where he's not a character and a tool. It's just like a tool to cut things, basically.
Yeah, I like his jokes a lot in the Fujiko Mine show. The stuff where he's just like, oh, she's my girlfriend is the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah, I don't like. I like the first half of Fujiko Mine. I don't care as much for the second half, but I think Goemon in there is like a really good Goemon.
Yeah. All right. All interesting. A little bit of a off tangent there.
That was a tangent, but anyway, mechanical design. I think I saw like on Anime News Network. It said like Stewie Nue was the least involved in this some capacity on the mechanical design front. I didn't see what else these guys have done, but basically the two mechanical designers are Kunihiro Abe and Takashi Hashimoto.
And good stuff, by the way. I like the designs of this quite a bit more.
Yeah, the Orguss 2 looks pretty sick.
Yeah, it's very.
It's cool. It's like in an episode and a half, basically in terms of runtime, but it is cool.
It's so funny. Like the word Orguss gets mentioned so late because like it's not really important in the first Orguss show anyway. It's not like thematically or like an important machine in the way that like.
It's just called that because the main character is a robot, but the Orguss itself is just not important.
Yeah. It's funny if you compare it to like basically any other show, like the Orguss as compared to like even like a super robot show, like
Macross.
Yeah, or especially a Macross, Gundam, and Evangelion, especially kind of a silly one. But yeah, Org is just like kind of there. It may as well be anything else.
I don't even know what the Southern Cross is.
Isn't that the name of the base? Extremely have not thought about Southern Cross in like 6 months. Voice popping up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No Southern Cross. It's Organ time.
Yeah, it's Organ time. Okay. So yeah, cool stuff all around. I'm going to try to keep it to like a sentence per episode, just real quick. We'll kind of go through those, and then just kind of go through the real thing there. Okay.
Yeah. I think you're allowed to do like 2 or 3 if you need to, because I feel like a lot happens because it's like really dense because it's only 6 episodes.
I'll take my challenge, and then you have an extra sentence you want to add on there if you feel like I've failed in some capacity. You're welcome to do that. And I'll feel some shame there. Episode 1, realizing I do not know the names of the settings for the places. Okay. What's the first episode title?
Fool's Choice.
Fool's Choice. Do you know the like the name of the setting for like the 2 factions?
I have it written down. I didn't memorize it for most of the show, but I have it written down here.
Okay. Is it Revilla and Zaffron? Is that it?
Yeah, Revilla is the protagonist, quote unquote, home faction.
Okay.
And Zaffron is the quote unquote enemy one.
Okay, great. So, in the world of Orguss 02, Revilla and Zaffron are fighting. We meet the main character, Lean, who is a member of the Revelia, who is embroiled into the war, watching his close friend die in the process over it's like a big like land sea boat confrontations, where he
Yeah.
also meets Colonel Manning, a big a big colonel guy who loves women and violence,
He's a
and
guy of all time.
he's like really Mr. OVA, really, for that era.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy.
Yeah. Basically what happens, we get a little bit of the like background of the things here, but we'll
We
get
get the
that into that
we get
more
the
in
setting
episode.
established by like we get like there's ancient robots and they're salvaging them. And apparently there's a place. This never only comes up in this episode, but there's a place called the Zone with like automated robots that can be.
Yeah.
Uh,
Episode 2, what's the name of
oh
this
wait,
one?
you need important to mention that like the guy who died was like the I guess the kind of guy he was living with, and also like the father of
Yeah.
his childhood friend, and like his wife has a debt that he gets.
Yeah,
She gets
we'll get.
salvaged.
We're just doing a brief summary. We'll
Okay,
kind of
okay,
go
okay.
into the insular stuff now. Just the main facts. Person important to him dies. Episode 2. What's the name of that?
Where angels fear to tread.
Okay. In this episode, Colonel Manning invites Lean to join the military to get a lot of money to help support the family of the guy that died. Um, him and Manning both go on a mission over to Zaffron as spies to capture a blue-haired lady who doesn't tell us her name this episode. A giant fuck-ass huge robot comes out as part of Zaffron's military and blows up a lot of things. Episode ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. That her I'll just say her name now though. She eventually reveals that it is Nanaruma, which is the kind of the other protagonist here. Going just real quick onto episode 3, and yeah, I guess the other thing is just for point in time. But by the end of it, like Lead and Nanaruma are in the same room. She's like kind of holding him hostage while Mating is off doing intel on the big robot thing.
Yeah.
Episode 3. In this one, Lean and Nanaruma make a kind of a collaboration to escape, since it is pretty bad in there for both of them. They make it out, and during another fight, it is revealed that she is a Marn. You see her little things there. Colonel Manning has fucked off. He said good luck, and he's fucked off while this giant robot is like chasing after them and blowing up everything.
Yeah.
Is that's about right for that one too? You'd say?
I mean, he kind of technically fucks off at the end of episode 2.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
Episode 3, you kind of get like, because there's the Game of Thrones shit in like the Revelia kingdom going on, and they start like the Cold War turns hot. They get like the two heroes get like picked up by a friendly guy, and then later they find like his town is like fucked. So
Yeah, that's all.
that's
All
basically yeah, that's basically how it is. And also,
okay.
like, Orguss 2 shows up and saves them.
Oh yeah, that is important. The Orguss 2 shows up, piloted by a mysterious old man. Episode 4. Um, what's the name of that one?
Searcher.
Searcher. Episode 4, Searcher. Lean and Anaruma make it back over to home, where the like royal Game of Thrones shenanigans are becoming a full force. So I guess to introduce those characters, there's the king who's poisoned
Yeah.
by his like wife, right?
Yes.
His wife
And
Maran, who's kind of an evil big booby lady.
yeah,
And there's also there's her son, who she kind of like uses to put
yeah.
onto the throne.
To play
Um,
is his name. He's like there's like two princes, and he's like the younger prince, but also specifically her son.
yes, there's another Prince Perion, who is presented as someone with a intense mental disability.
Yeah,
Although we
specifically like a intellectual disability, I think is correct.
yeah, an intense intellectual disability. The word used in the show is definitely not that. It's the R word. which is I think
Switching
would
out
be
ethnic slurs for ableist slurs.
yeah we're we're getting back on track there with that. Um,
Also important, we have like there's like the two ministers. The main one does we got the war minister who's like having an affair with the queen and is sort of like pushing like the Warhawk faction and pushes out like the more peaceful minister.
mhm.
Karachi is the war minister, and then you got the Akamasu who's the more peaceful minister gets like arrested.
Yeah, yeah, that is all true and important. That's very very good. So in this episode for so we get a lot of that information. We kind of learn that Manning has Manning has an association with Perion, who reveals his plot, where he was just merely pretending to have an intellectual disability for a period of 7 years. He's actually just totally
I think you're getting a little bit ahead, but because there's
oh
the episode 4 is where
yeah
we get like a bunch of like people getting arrested and jailbreak stuff. Drama where Toria, who is Lean's childhood friend, uh, confronting her like romantic jealousy of this new girl, while also she is wanted at creating problems. And then the episode ends with Lean getting shot in the face.
yeah, he gets shot in the face as they're trying to make their escape from the facility. Along the way, they also fight Colonel. Well, not even really fight. But for Colonel, they like tie up Colonel.
Yeah,
Manning.
Manning gets his motivations seem weird, but
Yeah.
we'll get into that. And also, we find out who saved. They get saved by Orguss at the end, and we find out who he is, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. Episode 5, things continue to be pretty bad. As part of Perion's plot, he has poisoned the other prince, which kind of really fucks up his mom, Miran, who's just kind of cradling around her little corpse
He
boy.
killed a child.
Yeah, he straight up murdered that child, and now is like the head of the throne there. They are Selena and Natsuruma are taken by the old man, who reveals himself to actually be a robot, of course, of the Boo race. He tells us how
Not just any robot.
Oh, what robot is it?
He's the lieutenant.
He's a lieutenant.
Yeah.
Oh, I just assumed it was like of the same model, because like those are
No,
of the same
it's
model.
I ended up looking it up, and yeah, it's the same guy.
Oh.
It's just because I guess apparently the name because the rank lieutenant in Japanese is Tai, so like that's how it is. But yeah, it's the same guy.
Oh, okay.
And he somehow survived the end of Orguss, and then he spent 100 years fixing himself up.
Damn. Did not do a great job though. Did not look exactly like the guy. Well,
I mean, also
so
the 90s happened.
The 90s did happen. Unfortunately, we're all sad about that.
For all the characters, it turns out.
Yeah. So he fixes Lean's eyes, kind of, and tells him about, hey, this is connected to Orguss, because it was mostly fixed at the end of Orguss, like the whole space dilation thing, but kind of there's still a few things left over, including these armors that have really fucked up your civilization. We're trying to get that fixed over here. Meanwhile, that big giant robot is still a problem, as it is like rampaging through the countryside. They blow off its legs, but it still is crawling through. And then Perion is like, listen, I got my own giant robot. I'm going to get in here and show my ass. Literally, not figuratively.
This does happen.
And he goes off to take it with Manning on board. Manning is revealed to be Perion's kind of a subordinate. That's where his true priorities lie. Which
he's also like the nephew of the ousted peace minister.
Yeah. Who's still there? The peace minister apparently survived. He's just like, yeah, what's up? I'm with you, Perion. You seem like a cool guy. And that peace minister's whole thing is just kind of going like, oh, king, don't do that, please, king. It's kind of his whole role, which is funny.
Yeah, I think
who the king is. So that is that. And then finally, the last episode.
Those who wish for tomorrow.
Lean and Natsuruma are like go into the Orguss 2, and they fight. Perion's robot beats the shit out of the other robot there. Then he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep doing like Super Birder for everyone. And Lean and Natsuruma
because it's defect with a robot.
Yeah,
which is why me were like, actually, we should not make more of these. This is actually a terrible idea.
Yeah, they go out and they stop him. Manning at one point breaks his neck. does not works only for a little bit. And they take him out, and then they go to kind of a little bit of a time skip where everyone's just happy living in a more peaceful society.
So, basically, first of all, worth noting that Lean spends this entire sequence blind and has to rely on others to see for him, which is cool. And also they fixed the dimension stuff with a second a second space time bomb.
Two bombs can fix the problem with one bomb.
Two bombs make a right.
Yeah. And also, I guess the big thing is that Natsuruma, it's like part of the consequences for all the things going back to where they should. She gets teleported away. It's kind of a sad moment. She's like, "Oh, I love you," and they don't even get the chance really to embrace before she goes off.
Yeah, they get the fucking homage to the fucking last episode of Ultra 7. She confesses.
Yeah, I saw that thing you posted on Blue Sky right before I watched the episode, so I really got a little spoiled there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It doesn't matter. I don't think it's that. I don't think they're shadowed enough for it to be a direct reference from my point of view.
I feel like it's too iconic. It's not 100% the same, obviously, because of the lighting, but it feels like too obvious to send up.
I feel like it's just two couples in front of the camera while something is bright, but beneath them is a lot more common.
No, I don't know. I think it's pretty. I think it's because Ultra 7 is a cultural touchstone in Japan. So
audience, I'll put Mel's tweet in the description, and you can make up your own mind about if it's a real intentionality or not, or if you're the creator of Orguss 02. You can just tell us, that was Ultraman. It is a great shot, by the way. The Ultra 7 shot there, it is beautiful.
It's good. Worth noting as well, Nadaruma is like the descendant of Kei and Mimsy's kid, it turns out.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And we get a shot of 90s Mimsy and Kei, and it's the most uncomfortable thing I've ever seen.
Oh, that's right. They just shouldn't have done it, right? Like they should have seen the shot and have not put it in because they look fine from behind.
Yeah, 90s Jabby looks okay, but Mimsy and Kei look too clean.
They just don't even look like themselves.
They don't.
It's sad. So that's basically it there in terms of the loose plot structure. And I said I liked it on the whole. You seem also pretty positive. You said it was kind of better as a package, the original Orguss.
Yeah, like we talked about it, but Orguss is kind of like a mess. That doesn't know what it's doing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and this feels like a tighter package. And it's weird how the first half it feels like it's just completely standalone and why is this Orguss, and then by the end it's like, well, I guess this is pretty Orguss, but also still different enough. It's weird.
Yeah. That's probably a good opening discussion point there, is like similarities to Orguss. So like for Orguss, like itself as a package, it felt very unconnected, like thematically, for like what it was trying to do or say. Like the main bits were about Kei seeing if he was able to kind of go up to the like gain enough courage to become like a hero, like that sort of weird journey here, which isn't something that this is so much focused on. Like Lean's story is very different. It's a lot more about like society pushing itself on, and like societal issues that the main character are finding out about.
He spends a lot of time fleshing out the world, which is interesting, and kind of nice compared to the original Orguss, which set up in a complex setting, but also didn't do as much of it as it could.
Yeah,
and this one, it's interesting because this one is like, as it turns out, because it's post Kei and Olsen fixing things. It's like but one world of the many that merged in Orguss, because the world's mostly defused, but there's still like fragments of worlds that remain in some of the other worlds, which is why you have a singular Amarn and also the Mu civilization and this completely unrelated planet.
Right. It is also like a war story in the way the original one was. This is like extremely war in the pocket ish vibes, where like all of the issues of like the major and minor arcs of the story, like stuff with the royalty and the peace ministers, are all explicitly about war. And then like even on Lean's side, like all of his individual decisions are just from the war. Like he is put into a situation where he's like, hey, I need to make money, and the only way that I can do that is through war. And like all
Yeah.
the big thematic discussions between him and Manning are Lean talking about like, hey, like isn't war bad? And Manning's like, no, loser,
Yeah.
idiot, stupid,
So I went
dumb
with him
dumb.
like just like at the bar talking about, yeah, and it's so cool that war happens and they get to kill people.
Yeah, yeah, which is something
we
like
should we
Org is
should
like not at all interested in. Like there was a war that show, it just did not really like the
yeah.
cost of war was never like a big deal in that
Manning
way.
is not a guy who would exist in Orcus originally, and also he's just like more interesting than most characters in Orcus.
Yeah, I was curious how you would feel about him because he is
Uh,
does have some issues.
he's definitely some
Um,
stuff that's like I think some of the I mean the creators have their issues, especially because they're in the 90s. They're men in the 90s making stuff. There's some good moments of just like I think some of my favorite Manning moments is just the one where he like fakes crying while embracing Lean by like putting saliva after fake tears.
it's so funny, and
Um,
he bangs his head into the wall to make his like eyes hurt enough for
yeah,
him to look like he's in pain. It's so good.
and then the very last episode in the epilogue, he's like quit the military. He's like opening his like his women's clothing business with his new wife because he's had like 5 of them, and Toria, the childhood friend girl, bumps into him, and like he says in like the Zafran language to his new wife, "Oh hey, I owe this girl a lot. Make sure you rip her off when you can." And then she tells her to the Toria, "Don't worry, I told her you give you the best prices."
It's so funny. It's
It's one
really
of the
great.
funniest things I've seen.
And yeah, I have a question about meaning. Do you?
Yeah.
So I thought the scene it was always very funny with the fake crying thing. Why do you think he does that? Because it like from what he says and like acts, it seems like he could very much get away with like acting like he doesn't care. Like there's not a societal like he outranks Lean, and he's not going to get in trouble for what Lean says. I don't think anything he did was like would especially with the relationship you
Yeah,
find out he has with
I
Period.
assumed part of it was just like he didn't want to deal with a defiant Lean who was like angry at him, and so by like showing like remorse and like relief at his safety, he's able to like ease the tension and like he can like keep Lean more on his side a bit more because I feel like
Yeah, that's part of it.
I guess some of it maybe disagree like maybe sometimes because it's 6 episodes, things need to happen because they need to happen. So maybe there's a bit of that. Like maybe there's some missiness his own way, but like
I think like the thing with Manning is that he cares, but not that much. I think he is on some level like legitimately happy that Lean is back.
yeah,
But I think you're right. It is on some level like transactional. Like, well, I do want to be this guy's friend, and I understand. Like, I don't feel that wild about it, but I think because he does do a lot of things that are in Lean's favor for no clear gain. Like he does get him kind of a cushy job at first, and like when things go bad, he kind of says, "Well, good luck," and gets
yeah,
out of there.
true. Because I was
Um,
wondering if like him just being like cooperative in the second half, where he just lets Lee knock him out and lets Toria go to his ex-wife. I was wondering if it's
mhm.
just like a too much of a change of pace to like the guy who was like, "I love war" at the start of the show.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Maybe it's like
I think Manning's
maybe
thing is that Manning is constantly says the worst things ever, but whenever he has an ability to do any action, he takes like what's clearly the best action. Like
yeah. I think
he's
that's probably
working with for what most of the show is like the person who is going to do the best for society. He's trying to end the war
yeah,
until he gets like machine fucked by the evilness of that thing. Or
yeah.
I don't know. That's the implication, right? Is that Perian gets like consumed by evil.
Yeah, like Piran is like not like a nice guy, but like it is up until like the robot kind of like fucks with his mind. It's kind of like the implication is he's at least like the lesser evil compared to like the Karachi and his faction
Yeah,
and his and the queen.
yeah. I got the impression if Harrion was like just acting as himself, he would have just destroyed that robot and gone home.
Yeah,
Which would have been, I guess, kind of the best thing for everyone.
yeah. I
That
mean,
robot,
he does
um,
have a weird thing about like protecting the garden or whatever, but it's also like, what is it? What does it look like without the going really crazy with the robot stuff look like?
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Um, and not and already kind of established though, the Soviet rather does not have the best like relationship to people's mental health states, right?
yeah,
It is very ableistic in that way. The line I mentioned earlier was like a pretty decently famous image macro.
yeah.
By the way, especially like kind of a more of a Chan thing. You know, this is
That
like
makes sense.
in that, yeah.
That's probably also why I didn't recognize that as like a thing that went around.
Yeah, that's probably more to that. Like I imagine like something awful and that sort of thing too. Used it, um, but it was a phrase with the R word here. I pretended to be an R word for 7 years that I'd seen before, and I was like, oh, it's from that.
Yeah,
And I mean, basically, also just contextually what happens in the show. Unfortunately, um, I wonder. I've not seen Game of Thrones. Does anything like that happen in there? Is that a thing that happens in Game of Thrones?
I haven't seen Game of Thrones. I just
Okay,
use Game of Thrones as a shorthand for like the Palace Intrigue.
yeah, Palace.
Which maybe Palace Intrigue is what I should have went with in the first place, but
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah, you know, Manning is great. Manning is just very fun for
yeah,
a soldier who loves evil and death, and just kind of makes the best
yeah.
decision for everyone.
He does. We should say that he does like sometimes just say some awful things, even if he's like meaning to do good. Like he, I sort of is like playing tough to get Toria to like go fuck off and save her mom. He does
Mhm.
threaten to like assault her.
Yes. A
And it's
short
like,
story about that. My mom had walked in for that scene, and she watched that, and then like Manning's line afterwards, like, "Huh, it's so hard to be the good guy all the time." And my mom laughed and said, "He's pretty hot."
you know
True
what? That's
story.
you know what? Props to your mom. I was like, damn, that's a crazy line. Of course, a man would write this.
Yeah. God, Manning is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
little fucked up, kind of like a super Roy Fokker almost, like a Roy
Do you want?
Fokker that
Yeah,
was
like
like way.
it's like
Um,
what if you took the Roy Fokker from specifically Do You Remember Love, but made him like fun?
yeah, I think
I guess
that's
maybe it's like halfway between like Macross, Roy Fokker, and like Do You Remember Love Fokker.
yeah. Although Roy Fokker seemingly has more of an interest in the younger ladies than Manning does, since everyone seems surprised when he's talking to Doria, like that guy's a what? It's not normal for him. Now he's being a cradle robber. He's actually just
Yeah,
telling her
yeah. He's
about
actually just like, yeah,
being
I just
signed.
don't fucking know where he is.
Yeah. Um, I laughed when he told Toriel that he had an ex-wife because, like, of course he does. Of course he has an ex-wife.
Yeah, he has 5 of them.
Of course he has five
And he
ex-wives.
keeps going back to specifically his third wife for favor. And
She's the
she's like, you know
nicest
what?
one.
She is the nicest one. Well, we don't know the other ones, to be fair. We only know this one, but she does seem pretty nice.
And what might be my favorite character, which is Colonel Manning's kid, who is basically just like a 12-year-old Colonel
Version
Manning.
of him.
Um,
The mom's just like, oh, he takes a little bit too much after his dad, to be honest.
there's such a funny joke with him where so the first time we see so like after Colonel Manning frees Toriel, and is that Toriel like the Undertale cat lady?
Toria's
Yeah,
kid.
Toria. Okay, not the goat mom from Undertale.
Yeah.
Toria. So once he frees Toria and tells her to go to his ex-wife and kid, she gets there, and Colonel Manning's kid is there, and he's like, "Hey, I have 3 girlfriends. You could be my 4th girlfriend." And then an episode or two later, at the very end of the show, like after the big climactic countdown, Colonel Manning is like on like the floor, like his arm horribly twisted, and
Yeah,
his
yeah,
ex-wife
because
and
like
son runs up.
because all the robots fade away, and so like when the robots that Lean and Manning are inside disappears, they just flop on the ground. All these people and the robots eat shit because they're flying in them.
Yeah. Notably, also Manning is like trying to get Toria to come over there and like fawn over him. He's like, "Ow, ow, I'm in pain. Please, I need a pretty lady." And he just runs like over to Deline because she doesn't care. But the best part is, so like Colonel Manning's kid like looks over and sees his dad like bleeding actively, and then looks over at Toria and says, "Gone. She was going to be my 4th girlfriend, and now I've lost her." um,
I think
so funny.
I think this show in its 6th episode is a bit better on both world building and also just character
Mhm.
dynamic stuff
Yeah,
than the original Orgus, which I think is a bit of
yeah.
a shame. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
not
especially like
shame,
Lean more
shame for
than
shame for
Kay.
the original show. Yeah, Lean's good. Like he's he's not the most exciting protagonist, but he's just good. They execute the idea well of like he's like a well-meaning good boy who's like thrust into the war, but also he's like he's like he's like no nonsense. He's like, yeah, I just gotta fucking do what I gotta do. I'm not gonna waffle about it, and that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Like despite how like young and seemingly naive he looks, he is very like when shit the fans, he's like on it. And I guess that part of that's because he's already like a salvager. Like he's already kind of like bit through some. He's doing a dangerous job as it is at the start, so maybe that helps a bit. Yeah, he's good. He isn't like a womanizer either, so that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He like talks to Mandy. He's like, it's kind of bad when wars kill young children, huh? And that's like what aims to his decisions to kind of do the best thing possible. He's always like that person, which I
Yeah, we
appreciate.
get lots of shots of like seeing the town of like the coach guy who helped them getting fucked up, and they're just like, damn, this sucks.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Why are we
yeah.
doing this? As a society, I mean, like not them specifically, but
Yeah. War is bad.
how do you
His
feel
relationship
about?
with oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was say, what do you feel about Nadaruma?
Yeah, she's fine. I like she mostly exists in relationship to Lean, and
Yeah,
I do like their relationship a bit for the most part. They
that.
like in the
I like that she's testy, especially at the beginning, but also there's a degree to which where on reflection, I'm like, did they just do Athena again? Is this her?
yeah, she's got like I feel a little bit more going on, a little more condensed there. And some of her lines are very funny. He asked what her name is. She's like, you yeah, my two names are oh hey or you over there. Those are my
Yeah,
names to you.
yeah,
Just yeah, good
yeah.
stuff with
She
that.
got good stuff going on.
She is like unfortunately taken by I don't know male gaze is the right term, but like definitely the '90s OVA sexualization of women. She's hit with that where she's put into the prostitute like clothing, which she's very
Yeah,
upset
because
at.
for the listeners' context, as part of their undercover mission, Lena and Manning were like quote unquote selling lingerie as part of their spy work. Well, I guess they were selling it, but yeah, that's just for context. That's why they had it on hand.
Yeah,
And also,
yeah.
like she does, like gets transported to her home world of the Amarn world at the end, and she's like naked.
Mhm.
And then one of the Amarn boys is like, "Hey, why are you naked?" And she doesn't answer, which is really funny.
Yeah, well, that's I feel like it's a little less sexualized there when she's
It's not
naked, at least.
sexualized, and like I
Yeah,
can understand what happens, but it's just with having the conversation, like the greater context.
yeah.
It's just
The bit where Lena's like, "Oh, you should use your weapon more powerful than your gun, which is your sexy leg mod." That
yeah,
part I did not quite care for. Although then it does bring in a funny joke in the next scene where where she's like, "What do you just want me to go around like naked next?" Like, no, I want you to be a man. And then they do a fun little bit
yeah,
at the
yeah.
end where
We're like
hard.
because Lean doesn't know the Zafran language. Uh, he's disguised as a soldier, and then she is like hidden and like speaks for him
Mm-hmm.
to get past the guard. That's fun.
Yeah,
It is fun. Like the Zafrans have their own language. I don't know what the language is, but they do subtitle it, and like the fact that not everyone knows the language. Like Lean can mostly only get there because both Manning and also Natsuruma can speak both languages.
it's Grongi. They're speaking Grongi in there. Part of
Definitely,
the dimensional shifts. Got those little fellows in there too.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Lean's good. Like not really focused on a character arc. He doesn't even really, I think, understand at all what's happening with like the royal stuff in any capacity. Even like at the end, I think he's just like,
No, he's
well,
not involved at all. And when I think about it, he's just like, yeah, he's got his own shit.
he even like he has so little clues of what's happening. Last episode, he just hears Colonel Manning's voice in the robot. He's like, Manning, are you piloting that thing? And he's like, no, there's a freak in here. There's a little freak in here that's all naked and robot-y and
Yeah, it,
pretending to be all weird for 7 years. I hate him.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Um,
Yeah, like yeah, it's cool in the final battle when most of the fight Nadaruma uses her Amarn antenna to let Lean see in the cockpit, but the final shot is fucking Manning aiming the gun for Lean while he holds the gun, and it's pretty sick.
oh yeah, that's very good.
Specifically, it's Toria's dad's gun that Toria's mom gives him.
So to go back to a little bit about the like sexualization scene of Nadaruma with like
Yeah,
her sexuality as a weapon should be that
yeah,
guy. I still love it by itself, but the thing I do really like is the intentionality of it being used parallel to the scene in the church hospital where like everyone is like dying. It is like the
Yeah.
after effects of the war, and specifically, there's a scene where we see, I think, the only like full frontal nudity in the show, where we
Oh
see
yeah.
a woman's breasts, who is like in horrifying pain from like a war injury.
Yeah.
So like that aspect of it, I think, is really clever, like presenting like
Yeah.
the, oh,
That
this
went over my head, but
sexy
yeah, that's a
leg.
good point. It's a
Um,
good point. It's a good point.
yeah. So I think
Uh,
that's clever, as for like fun sexuality versus the like, oh, here's like an out fully nude lady, not so like tantalizing for you now. That was a
we do
little
get the
sicko.
Zaffron King in the bath lot.
Oh yeah, a lot of ass.
I do like that both the empires are just they both suck. They're both bad. Like there isn't like there's even like a distinct flavor to them. They just both suck, and that's fun.
No, that's very true. Um, did you put down when um Nanaruma like enters her Amarn power mode? Like, were you also thinking, oh, this is an Elfen Lied bit?
No, because I haven't seen Elfen Lied, but it was just
Okay.
cool. Like Toria helps distract. Like they're escaping from the city, and like there's the final gate closing. After like Lean broke Nadaruma out and like knocked out Manning with consent. And like Nadaruma like they're about to get caught, and then Toria manages to to hold off the guy long enough that Lean can like shove Nadaruma out the gate, and the gate closes, and then they get shot in the face, and then Nadaruma goes sicko mode with their psychic powers and like tears open the gate and kills the guy, and it was pretty sick.
Yeah, very very sick. Not a thing from
Mimsy
Orgus,
can't do
right?
that shit. What'd you say?
They don't have psychic powers in Orgus, right? That
No,
wasn't a thing.
Mimsy didn't do any of that shit. She would have been cooler if she did.
Yeah, very very true. Mimsy should get on that. Um,
Shai, you could have just fucked that guy up. Jeez.
uh, mostly unrelated to all this, it was very very funny when the Zaffron like leader is like in the bath with like 30 ladies,
Oh
and
yeah.
he just sees the giant robot, and he gets up and he slips like right at the moment the missile hits.
Yeah.
That's cinema. That was
Yeah.
so good. That was excellent.
Also weird. Actually, this world is a bit weird because it does have a lot of psychic powers. Like they have instead of radar technology, they use like psychic guys called seekers.
Oh yeah, all that
Um,
stuff's really cool.
and like a bunch of them have their brains explode because they're all trying to pilot the big robot, and only Nadaruma is the only one with psychic powers good enough to actually like pilot the big robot. Yeah, there's a
uh
lot of cool stuff in this setting.
yeah, I think like production wise, just like episode to episode, it's just really fun to watch. Like all the like the designs look great. There's like a lot of like great brutal action across it. The pacing is really good.
Yeah,
There's always like some interesting character moment or
I
action
mean
set
that's
happening.
that's like the OVA promise, where it's just like because it's a limited run, long gaps between each episode, a lot of quality going into them. Like you're paying, it's for the hobbyist, so you're paying the big bucks for a really premium miniseries, basically.
Or you're watching Gundam Unicorn and you're really bored
I
past the
mean,
first
I'm
episode.
talking like 80s, 90s
Yeah,
OVAs.
yeah. So I'm kind of an MD Geist hater myself, so I'm not fully on board. But yeah, you can put a little bit more attention. You're absolutely right. Just the budget thing. It is
Yeah,
wild because there's clearly was a lot of care and attention went into this.
yeah.
Despite being a weird reboot of a thing that was like not super popular 10 years ago when it came out, right? Like they could
Yeah,
have just done another Macross OVA.
like the significantly. I mean, they did do another Racross is the thing, but
No, yeah, but I'm saying they could have done. No, they could have just had these guys do yet another Macross OVA instead of this.
I assume that part of the reason they didn't is because Macross Plus was in production. There was always there was the weirdness in that, like the reaction to Macross 2 prompted Macross Plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know if like I don't know to what degree that prompted them to do Orguss instead versus they were going to do Orguss anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Off of Macross 2, because I don't have their info on that. I'd love to hear more of that, but yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about capitalism a little bit because that comes up.
Yeah.
So one of the big scenes, it kind of like bookends in the very beginning. Lean's friend and like father figure that dies. The first episode, I'm sorry, I'll say near the beginning. They go over to his funeral, and like before the funeral's even over, there's like a banker that comes in who's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you owe me a lot of money to the family, so we're gonna see how this goes right now." And they start beating up Lean when he says, "You really should interrupt during a funeral."
Yeah.
Um, and then like later on, that same banker is like running for office in the peace
I
era.
forgot it was that guy.
Oh
But
yeah.
it makes sense. But yeah, that's a good touch. Like it is like it is fun that they're like the big empire is fragmented as all the other constituent like states declared independence, and so Revelia became a tiny republic instead, and they immediately show that this republic is got all of the skeevy election stuff that you expect from
Mm-hmm.
our capitalist democracies.
Yeah, yeah. It is just doing the
Yeah,
capitalism.
like just like I enjoy that isn't like just falling into the trap that a lot of like Japanese media is like, oh, we overthrew the empire and now it's a liberal democracy with all the liberal peace and good justice, and no, it's just like actually it just sucks. It's
Yeah, that's a great point. It is like, um, I think for as little as it goes into it, Orgus 02 understands like, hey, the liberal democracy is the poison that is like making all of these bad things happen in some way, right? Like
yeah,
this
like
the style of, I don't know, I don't think this is like a communist work just because it doesn't get into it, but
it is recognized like capitalism is like the root because like it
yeah.
is like like Lean is like to pay off the debt, which he does in the first episode. He pays off the debt in the first episode by taking a 4-year advance pay,
Mm-hmm.
which means he's enlisted for 4 years.
Yeah.
And he's just like Tori is obviously mad at him because like, well, you're gonna fucking die in the military, and he's just like tries to play it off like, well, there's not even a war. We don't know if there's a war, and everyone, and meanwhile, she's like, literally everyone knows there's going to be a war. You fucking dipshit. Like, it's
Yeah.
just like, and yeah, it's
Yeah, it understands the intersectionality, which is a lot more than you could say for like fucking Gundam Seed, right? It understands like ultimately the people in power, whether they are royals or whether they are the banker, are after the same thing. They're after your life, they're after your money, they're after your power, and they're going to make your life, everyone else's life, worse too to do it. And like do in like fighting the big guy and the big robot. I think, that, now that I'm thinking about it, because that's like an interesting thing too, right? Because like the whole thing with like the Colonel, KFC's own, is that he makes a whole big thing. It's like, listen, it's my responsibility. This is clearly a poison on your world, so I'm going to come in and take all these things off and stop it.
yeah.
But it doesn't. It doesn't. You take out all the giant weapons, the fundamental things that are, in Kira Yamato's words, whatever, the poison at the heart of this world. I guess it's more
That's actually said. Yeah.
sorry, so rude to Setsuna. My apologies, Setsuna.
Yeah. One
Like
of those guys is a character.
well, I'm sorry.
One of those guys is a character.
Yeah, you're right. So sorry again, Setsuna. But the evil at the heart of the world is not the giant robots from another thing. Like, it doesn't help. It's not great that there's giant robots there.
Yeah, like, I think he does. There's a throwaway line where Lieutenant says like, these are time displaced robots. Like, it's possible these are robots that this society will invent in the future. They're just like being discovered now through weird time shenanigans. And means like, does it mean we're gonna just make these shit in the future? And Lieutenant's just like, well, you gotta change the future, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it is interesting, like thing to think about. Like, yeah, the robots disappeared, but the power structures that abuse them didn't.
Yeah. And I like that, like, for as little as it goes into it, I like that it gets to that finale there. And like, there's no like, Lena's not like, oh, I'm going to go beat that guy. Like, if anything, the implication is that he's going to win because he has like the big car that is like actively shouting out the person on the like the soapbox yelling about poverty. He like uses his megaphone and wheels past him, like makes it you can't even hear him, which seems to indicate like, hey, this guy's going to win. He's going to make things worse, and this is how the world is going to go even after they win the big fight.
Yeah, and I think I remember like it came up in GGP's like Turn A season about like the extraction, like the digging up of mecha and using them for as machines for war. You can read into like a resource extraction metaphor in that too, and I think it's obviously similar things in play here because in this case it's like they're digging up old mecha and using them for war.
Yeah. Damn, Orguss 02 required watching for Turn A Gundam. You heard it here. Yeah. Wow.
The
After thinking that through, I'm really,
it's got some of the same diesel punk aesthetics too, right?
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if it's like a direct influence, but it does feel like a weird, like, history rhyming thing,
Mhm.
especially because, like, uh 6 years earlier. Um,
Yeah, that's good. Good. After thinking it through, I think I'm really high on the Soviet now, especially
yeah,
like
it's
actually thinking about like the themes and stuff like that. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I think that all comes to like a pretty good place of like what is a problem with this world and like how to fix it. Especially just because Orgus was so unconcerned with it. Did not Things
yeah.
that did not matter in Orgus were society, not a
I
factor.
think it's just, I think it's, well, I think the weird thing is it feels like not a lot of people who actually worked on Orgus were working on this.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
that's
they got
that's the main thing.
and also presumably like the War in the Pocket guy just has a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff in the world that we don't get a full glimpse of. Like we don't go fucking see, like, there's a fucking, like, the torturer guys in Revelia who have like SS on their collar.
yeah.
We don't get a lot of them, but they show up for like some notable scenes.
Well, you get the trumpet guys on the robot, which is
Yeah,
one of the
like
coolest things to ever
there's a cool
happen
thing
in a
like
Meg
when
show.
the war gets declared, like the Revalia trumpet robots fly overhead of, what is it, Revalia? I'm not sure. The trumpet robots flying over one of the town, specifically the town of the church where the carriage guy lives. And then
So
later the episode we see it in ruins
I'm going to step in because, to be clear, you're saying trumpet robots. They are regular robots with a
with the giant
um
trumpet.
no, that's not it. There's a human guy like standing on the robot while it's flying, playing the trumpet.
I must have missed this. I thought the robots were playing giant robot trumpets.
They may have also been playing giant trumpets. You might be right, but there's also separately on top of them a giant, just like a regular sized dude, somehow standing on top of these giant robots
Oh
through the
man,
air
this
playing the fucking trumpet.
this show's brain is so huge.
It is so good. I had my mind blown.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
I think this is an episode probably 3 or so.
it's episode three, I think. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you should find it. It's amazing. I think I would recommend this show. I think it's fine even if you haven't. I think I was perusing through an email and asked about this. Let's save that
Yeah,
conversation
going
until
back and forth.
then.
I'm just wondering, is there anything we missed? Like, it feels like maybe, but also feels like we covered most of everything. Like, how do you feel about the resolution at the end? Like, how do you feel about the
Good,
ending?
good. I think I covered that a bit in the like intersectionality stuff we talked about, right? That
Yeah,
like
I
how
like
it's kind
it
of
is.
a sad ending that understands like the power dynamics of
Yeah,
war.
I do think it's interesting. I don't know how if I've concretely thought about this, but I do think it's interesting that, like, both Orguses do seem to like there's both like a recognition of like there's something magical about the worlds meeting that shouldn't meet. Like something good comes out of, like, there's good things for Lean and Adaruma. They meet each other even though they shouldn't have met, and it's something similar happens in Orgus where, like, Kay meeting the Gromar crew and all the people there meeting, like Javit and the other Amarn and Olsen, all to them together. There's no reason they should have met if the worlds weren't fucked up, but there's something nice about them all. There's something magical about them all meeting. That's a positive thing. But at the end of the day, it's like the correct state of things is to have things separated, and I'm not sure what that is trying to say or was trying to say anything at all. But I think it's interesting about just like the
Yeah,
recognition of the good of the mixing things up, but also that the mixing things up causes problems that mean you have to separate those things to make things right, even if it means saying goodbye to the people you met.
yeah. It is tough because there is like a history of like isolationism for Japan in there.
Yeah, because I was wondering if it's like is it kind of a conservative outlook to just be like we have to set things back to the proper place.
Yeah, yeah. I think probably I would say that's probably just more of a leftover problem from Orgus, because like they do have I do like the thing here of like the implication like actually them being separated was never, or them being like two things that are supposed to be separated becoming together was never actually the problem. Although in some ways, like I guess mechanically in the world it was, but like it's never like an actual fix to separate those things. And
Yeah,
in fact,
I guess it's like in this case it's like the mixing of the things creates a scale of problem,
mhm.
and it's like, well, it'd be like if like we press the fix the universe button in our world and all the nukes disappeared, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the world's going to be peaceful, right?
Yeah, that's fair, and probably we'll still make nukes. Is like the implication there. We'll just remake
Yeah.
those things.
I guess the fact that like the structures themselves don't change even if they fix the magic time-wimey button.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing I think of is like the ending of Orguss is really open, and it's kind of like vague what happens, but also sort of creates like the possibility space, like all potential timelines are possible or created. And I don't know how much degree this sequel like closes the possibility space by saying this is what happened versus the fact that there's just one world out of the many that were like created / reformed by the end of the show means it doesn't actually matter that much.
Yeah, I think that this is just personal thing. I was just so not enraptured by the world and storytelling of Orgias that I was never
Yeah,
interested
I
in the
mean,
possibility space.
I'm not saying that like necessarily like I'm invested, but I think it's like the fact that Orguss ends that way means that it's worth talking about at least.
Yeah. I guess there's might be someone out there that's like, oh man, this really closed the possibility space of like the ending of Orgias. But I feel like it was mostly implied at the end of Orgias is that things kind of go back to normal anyway.
Yeah, but it's just like we got different glimpses of so many different timelines, but also not really. It is like the way it's framed is like really weird and vague, and this was like at very least this one seems to suggest like, well, here's like at least something happened with Mimsy or at least her daughter, and this is. But also, I think it is fun that the planet that this planet is set on is like not one of the ones that we saw in the original show, outside of like it being like partially Mew stuff mixed in. Like this is like we don't know anything about Revelia or Zafrin from original Orguss, which I think is neat. It's just there's like a what? Yes, that is the guy with the trumpet is really good.
I just posted the guy with the trumpet in
So
there. It's so much better than there being. I mean, a giant trumpet would be pretty good too.
Like the fucking it's like in Mad Max, where the guys are riding on the
yeah.
But yeah,
no,
I just felt like it's worth like at least acknowledging that like there's like the ostensibly the ending of the original show is open, and this being a sequel means you have to like follow that up with like a quote unquote like more here's what happened next kind of thing. And I think it is interesting the way it's like it being 2,200 years in the future does help a bit in that regard, because it is most standalone. You tie in
most of the questions would be about like, hey, what exactly happened with Kay and Olsen and stuff, which we don't really find out here explicitly. Which is I feel like that's where most of the possibility space would be.
They could just be dead.
Well, I mean, they're dead at this point for sure. They're not kicking in after 200 years.
Just dodges question by them being like too much time.
Kay got 4 girlfriends since then.
It also does just like give like episode 5, half of episode 5 is just like a recap of Orguss, just be like, well, if for whatever reason you're not watching this 10-year-old show, here's how it ties into that show.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it feels like a good kind of wrap there. Are you about ready to move on to the emails?
Yeah, I do think one last note tying back to that flashback. Seeing the Orguss original 1 characters in the art style of this show does just make it go, damn, this show being in the same franchise as that one just feels weird because of just how different and weird this is. It does clash that much. But I think it's fun. I think the show is worth watching. If you did watch Orguss and enjoyed that, or even more neutral on it, actually, you know what? Watch this anyway.
This is an email. We will talk about this when we are asked.
Okay. Sorry to jump ahead.
Yeah. Okay. We will then go into the we give like our final thoughts there if we want to give a out of 10 ranking or so. We'll do our first email from Jason, who's on the last one there. Thanks again. Hope you are doing well. Thanks again for having me on the pod. Talk about Orguss. It was mad fun. Now that you've seen all of Orguss, I'm super keen to hear your overall thoughts on the series. Personally, I adore the series despite itself, but I feel I can safely say Orguss 2 is just a good set of 90s mecha OVAs. I mean, I feel like we've been pretty clear on our thoughts.
I think we
so far.
Yeah, and also I think we're very extensive in our thoughts of Orguss, the original show, in like our last episode.
Yeah, so don't. So how dare you ask us?
Yes,
rude. Pay attention to the podcast you haven't listened to yet.
Just to summarize again, Orguss, the original, is like really messy and a lot of we're so back, it's so over, and missed potential by like not focusing on its best aspects and maybe not having a clear plan of what it wants to do. And does, which helps a lot.
Orguss bad, Orguss 2 good. That's mine. I've seen it said a few times that Orguss 2 would be better off as its own separate thing, divorced from the Orguss series entirely. And while I can see a case for the OVAs as a 6 standalone diesel punk mech series, I personally love the way they tie it back into the original Orguss series.
I did pop off when I saw Mew again. So I will say
that. Jason says, I'm the sicko pointing at the screen, hooting and hollering when the Mew tie and Orguss 2 appear. Do you feel that Orguss 2 would be better as a standalone thing, completely divorced from the series entirely, or is it better off for being tied directly to Orguss?
This is complicated because I feel like, on one hand, it is cool to pop off for like, hey, it's that thing from the old show. Like when I saw when you get the Amarn whiskers in the end of episode 3 blow out, like they don't say what it is yet. It's just like, oh, it's the Orguss, it's organ time. But also at the same time, it's like having this be the sequel to a 35 episode show that is at best mid, to be honest, is also makes it harder to sell, you know? And you know, it's not like, you know, if you want to watch Orguss, then go ahead. But it's also like, I don't want to necessarily say you should watch Orguss just to watch this.
Yeah, I feel like, because this question is really about like the things that it's taking from Orguss. Is it like doing interesting things with that, and like would it be able to do those things better if it wasn't doing that at all? And I think like it's a hard job, right? Because Orguss is like such a messy series that it's hard to take things from it. And also we're comparing it against a thing that can't exist. Like we don't know what this would look like if it wasn't.
Yeah. Also, it's
Orguss.
just like if you're saying this is a standalone series instead of a sequel, does that mean you swap the proper nouns around and it's the same? Because at that point, it's like, well, why is there a space-time bomb?
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Is that we just don't know. So it's silly to kind of like think of it from that angle.
Because otherwise it'd be like, you know, the last half of the show will be just more of the first half of the show.
Yeah, I mean the thing that it takes from Orguss is like the main question from what you were saying is like these things intersecting, is that good or not, and then that kind of interplays it with you know, a little bit more like real world realities, and like you know, doing like typical like OVA brutality too. Like there's some stuff we didn't talk about like in the backstory. We're like, like there were some Amarns that just got like murdered because they looked like they were just freaks. They were so weird to humans. Which is not a thing from Orguss. Like it was never treated that way.
Episode 1, a bunch of people just shot up in the cockpit, and it's really visceral.
Exactly there as well. So I don't super love the stuff where it's like, man, wouldn't it be fucked up if like the Amarn were seen as freaks and then killed? But it doesn't like, I guess, focus on that. But the stuff where it is more directly contrasting like the themes, and I feel like specifically the weakness of the themes of Orguss is interesting. So I think that's the only answer I can give. Right? Like the ways in which they pull that back are interesting. I think if you're asking from like a mechanical point of view of like, is it great that you kind of need to watch 35 episodes of the show that's like very mid to understand the sequel OVA that's making points that kind of point out the ways in which the original sucks? I not exactly, you know, like it's a weird overall question, right? I don't know if I have the answer.
It's just hard to like say like how, if you're watching only this, like how does the Amarn and Moose stuff hit?
Yeah,
like you don't fucking know who Kay and Mimsy are, and like even if, you know, maybe they're not the best written characters, there's still something you get from like seeing their arc in the original show that makes, you know, you can go, oh, it's those guys. When they show up, it's like, yeah, by the way, you're their like great granddaughter.
Yeah,
he's the fucking lieutenant who's one of the better characters from that show.
Yeah, like barely even himself though. Really, it's not a wacky guy in this, sadly.
Yeah, he's Spike Spiegeled.
he's Lupin the Third in this.
Yes.
I think there's no good answer to that question. Like, we don't know what it would be without it.
Yeah,
I think
it's hard.
I think it'd
It's hard
probably be
to.
still really good. I think I would still
Yeah,
like most of the things. It was like the things I like about the show is like it's a well paced. It's like looks good. It's action. I like the characters. I think all that
yeah.
would be the same.
Like
And I
it
think
has good world building, it has good character writing, and
yeah,
like I think it have those qualities. Uh, uh, yeah. I mean, it's just like they got a good guy, a guy who did something good, and he made another good thing.
yeah. Okay, let's. There's more to this one email too. There's other emails.
Okay,
I think it's a good answer to that question. It's
yeah. I think we did.
yeah.
Love for this
Uh,
one.
On that note, while I adore the original Orguss series despite its problems, I can never recommend it to anyone who isn't a total retro mecha sicko due to its more fraught problematic elements. Despite Orguss 2 having its own set of problematic elements, it's also much shorter and more focused. Do you think it'd be safe to recommend Orguss 2 by itself to someone who's never watched Orguss, or do you feel that the way it specifically ties back to the original will leave folks who are unfamiliar with the series too lost to enjoy it? I think I still would. I think it's fine. I would.
I do case by case. But I do think you're right that Orguss the original is a hard sell, and I think I would have to be case by case, but how much someone would have to care, because some people would care more than others. I think.
Yeah. Well, I think the hypothetical frames that they're willing to take it.
Yeah.
Or else it's kind of like pointless.
I guess I would. Like, I think like you get enough. I think like it does.
I don't think you'd be lost. Like the question is like, would they be lost? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think you'd be lost at all.
You wouldn't get
You
like
would?
the attachment, but you wouldn't be lost. They explain enough for you.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing about like the thing is like ultimately the real thing, all the shit about the world, they barely make sense of the original too.
That's true.
There's like not a focus. Does not matter.
I guess the commonality between these two is the fact that like apparently someone can direct the space time bomb to fix things in a certain way, and that is not explained in like anything except for I guess maybe there's like powers involved.
Yeah.
And this
I feel it really just works by itself. You're going to miss a little bit of like, and like I feel like most of the interesting themes again are just about the ways in which it's kind of in some ways criticizing or at least playing with the themes of the original. But I don't know if it makes sense to like recommend like, oh, you really should watch the original so that you can watch the sequel to see why the original like isn't that interesting.
And it does feel weird because it is like 35 episode mid show versus 6 episode good show that just relies on the lore of the original show.
Yeah, like especially if you're just like, oh, I like a cool 90s OVA, like 100% doesn't matter.
But also it's like distant enough that you can like is mostly standalone.
Yeah, and there's like enough. There's more cool shit that happens here than all of Orguss. Orguss doesn't have a trumpet.
Doesn't have a trumpet. Yeah, there's
doesn't have a
here. Like
doesn't have a Playboy 12-year-old. It doesn't have a guy slipping in the shower the moment the missiles hit his giant window. It's all great.
Orguss guys the fucking swing around the tree, and then I guess
let's be real. Come on,
I'm reaching. I am reaching. The fuck, yeah, it's yeah.
Orguss has got the. I'll give it the palm tree monsters. Those are cool. Those
I knew you were going for those ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's got dinosaur cheating on his wife.
Okay, that's two things. It does have the dinosaur cock story. One thing, sadly, if they had a 7th episode, it would be all about the dinosaur. Cheers, folks. Hope you've had fun watching.
I guess if nothing else, this OVA shows that there's a lot of you could have done with the Orguss setting that they just didn't do in the original show. That would have been cooler than whatever they did in the original show.
And Jason is looking forward to hearing our thoughts on the series. P.S. One final question on the scale of we're so back, it's so over. Where would you rate Orguss 2? Whatever the verdict, I'm happy to know more people know about the evil Roy Fokker mating.
Yeah, we're definitely so back on this one.
Yeah, we're so back. Is Manning, is only more evil in words and less evil in actions than Roy Fokker. Roy Fokker is still a little bit of a creep to Min-May in action, and is even in like the regular show. I feel like most people forget about that in the original show.
I think I do forget about the creep moments in the regular show. It's just they're so egregious in Do You Remember Love, and he doesn't have any of the joy. Like he's just like the misogyny that it like makes it stand out.
Yes,
and also Do You Remember Love also has other misogyny by making Misa I'm sorry, I forgot her name.
Yeah,
Be
Lisa
like,
from Robotech.
I'm going to fucking role play being a housewife because that's my true joy. And
Yeah.
there's
Yeah, so it's so back. Sorry, we're so back.
we are so back.
That's
We're so back trumpeting on top of this robot.
yes, God, so good. Okay, thank you again, Jason, for the email. And then we have two from and what's their username again? From a very fine cat who sent one, and then who said, "Hey, I'm going to send a second one," and I reminded them they sent a second one very recently. So we'll read, of course, the first one first. Hello, Shane and Mel. Congratulations on getting to the end of Orguss and presumably detangling the podcast timelines back in their own respective dimensions.
Our
I mostly
podcasts are
have
finally detangled after this.
yeah, we're all free there except for any more fun crossover episodes. I mostly had fun watching along, despite the show being kind of a nightmarish. We have done by at home endeavor. I don't think I fully realized that. Wow, we really made it so that one other person watched this show. Huh? Interesting. Sorry we did that to you. We appreciate it though. Or I do, Mel.
I am curious how many people on my end actually watched Orguss because of me.
That's it's like sorry to think about.
It's
Scary.
it's really funny. Like my co-hosts are like, I have not listened to that podcast yet because I may watch Orguss, but also I probably won't watch Orguss. So maybe I should just listen to the podcast. And like, well, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I know I'd like you to listen to this.
Manny will not be listening to this. Let me tell you, Manny not interested at all.
I think it's
in this
fair.
whatsoever. Yeah,
he's got his own obligations for Robotech.
He's got shoes. He's got cool shoe pictures. He doesn't got time to watch mid anime.
I think you should make this trumpet guy the thumbnail for your feed.
I think it's a good idea. That gives me a good idea. Okay. I mostly had fun. Oh, sorry. I was really worn out by Kay's entire deal by the end of the show and wish more time was spent doing weekly one-off adventures.
Yes.
Orguss, very, very true. Orguss Zero 2, meanwhile, was kind of a delight in the specific way that small-scale 90s OVAs can be. Here's some sort of thoughts. I knew this conceptually, but between the French Revolution country in Orguss and the specific French names in John Squad and Southern Cross, Rose of Versailles was crazy popular at the time, huh? Probably, yeah.
I mean, it was 79, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, in the zeitgeist of like at least, well, I guess it would have been like over a decade, but it's still one of those shows like big cultural cachet. It's just like it casts a long shadow. So
also just an important like cultural moment across history, right? Just the French Revolution.
Yeah, like also a lot of people work in anime are friends of Boost.
Yeah. Have you seen? I may have asked you this before. Have you seen the Rose of Versailles woman's Lupin musical?
No, but I have seen the episode of Lupin Part 2 where Oscar shows up because it was a stealth pilot for Rose of Versailles, which aired a few months later.
Oh, I don't think I knew that. I'd seen
it's a terrible episode that treats Oscar terribly. But it is fun that they did that because it's the same studio animating both. They did this. They use Lupin Part 2 to be like, "Hey, here's Oscar from Rose of Versailles."
Huh. Anyway, you really need to watch the musical there. It's very, very good. It is mostly a Rose of Versailles musical. It just so happens to have like Lupin and the gang there too, hanging out.
I should
doing stuff. Yeah, it's fully subbed in English. It's
hopefully
great.
it'll be better than the other one. But I have enjoyed I did enjoy the Lupin and Conan crossovers, so hopefully that's more on that level.
Yeah, I need to watch more Conan before I get to that.
Too.
Yeah.
But anyway.
They recently sorry, quick tangent. Very rude to do a tangent in the middle of your email.
This is just podcasting.
Yeah, this is podcasting.
They
very recently did a full English translation for the Detective Conan PlayStation 2 game that I really want to check out because I love like the Ace Attorney likes and such for like detective stuff.
I don't actually know how many Detective Conan games there are. I remember the Gaming Brit did a review of a Wii game for Detective Conan, but I don't know.
But I mean, yeah, it looks like a big one. I'd be excited.
That does sound fun though.
Yeah. Anyway, I've watched the entirety of Macross, but I've never cared about a Valkyrie in my life. Truly boring mechs. Despite this, I'm extremely into all the Orguss units from both shows. They're really cool. Do you think that Lieutenant/Captain painted the Orguss-02 the Gundam tricolor because he spent the 20 years rebuilding himself watching all of Gundam? And what's his favorite show? What do you think? I'll let you take this one. What do you think?
Saying the Valkyrie is worse than the Orguss mechs is a bold stance, and that's all I'll say on the matter. But also, to answer the question, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Orguss-02 stuff. Like designs a lot. But I'm never like a huge like design person generally. For that. I think Lieutenant was watching Band of Brothers.
You know what's cool? Valkyrie.
What?
Basara's Valkyrie from Macro 7.
Oh, I'll see that someday. What do you think Lieutenant was watching those 20 years?
Let's think. He was watching Top Gun.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just the Top Gun movie over and over again. That's cool. In all, Orguss seems like a show that'll sit well in my memory once I have enough time to let the bad romance slip out of mine until all that's left is Javier cheating on his girlfriend in the whole episode of You, where we find out that robot drugs exist. Happy crossing. Yeah. And then we'll move on to the sequel email. A few more sort of thoughts after listening to the latest episode. I'm really glad Sanga made the same Futurama connection that I did in regards to the robot civilization stuff at the end of Orguss. I wouldn't say the two shows are all that similar, but there's just enough DNA in common between them. I thought about Futurama a lot while watching Orguss.
Futurama is an isekai.
Very, very true. Would Orguss have been a better show if it had doubled down on being a comedy? Was it ever that funny though? It was charming.
I'm torn because on one hand, I don't know if the jokes they made were that good, but at the same time, I'm also like, the fact that the show was so fixated on its plot and took itself so seriously for 2/3 of it was to its detriment. When like the fun adventures in the first third were like part of the appeal of the setting, and so maybe I kind of was thinking like Orguss as an anthology series, like something more like we get different types of stories similar to the Orguss 2 one, where it's like, oh, there's definitely weird places where different stuff happens like this. Would have been an interesting way to go with things.
Yeah.
Not that they should bring Orguss back. I think it's fine leaving it to the past.
It's Orgover.
I think, frankly, I think you could just simply take a similar premise and just do something new and do more with it.
They should have like a genre about people going into worlds that like aren't their own. That'd be cool.
I'm talking about specifically the multiple worlds smashed together.
Yeah, I know. But in terms of isekais, there's always room for more genres in there.
Of course,
get some multiple isekais in there, huh?
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't think Orguss 2 counts as an isekai though, the way I think about it.
No.
Which is fun.
Yeah, there's it's isekai just for Lieutenant. It sucks for him, but everyone else is just in there. Anyway, would it be a better? I don't know. I guess like the Lieutenant stuff was really funny.
Yeah, I just remember the fucking line from Mega Man X6 where Zero just comes back. I hid myself while I repaired myself, and that's what Lieutenant does.
Yeah, it's very good here. If they had made Lieutenant the main character and it was like a full parody show, I think Orguss would have been fantastic. I think maybe that's the problem there, right?
I think it would have been fun if he like repaired Moom and she was also here.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
That would have been good. That would have been nice.
Yeah, and maybe she's like an adult now. That'd be fun. So yeah, I don't. It's like this question always hard. Like, would show X be good if it was a different thing entirely?
Yeah,
we'll never know, right?
Would X be different if it wasn't X?
Yeah, not to be mean about the question, right? It's interesting if there was a tone shift. I would have liked her to been. I think like clearly the show overall never knew what it was going for, and that harmed it. And I think maybe a clear direction, like even it was like, hey, this is like going to be a very simple comedy, and we're going to have like this story link.
It kind of like sometimes it felt like it had less episodes than it could fit with its ambitious ideas in. And on the other hand, it also felt like it sometimes had too many episodes because it felt like it was just wasting time and meandering and not knowing what to do. Like when Bimsy goes to her mom for like an episode and she dies and she comes back and it's like, well, Do we need to do this?
No. Or just a stupid show.
K being like, no, Mimsy, I'll never see you again. And literally everyone else is like, she'll be back in like a week. Don't worry.
Yeah. Fuck it. It should have been comedy. Yeah, it'll be better. Finally, should I watch Darling in the Franxx? No, I don't think you should. You're fine.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, apparently there's like at least 2 separate light novels inspired by Darling in the Franxx that are apparently better. I assume partly because of spite.
Wow. I think like there's better stuff out there for media you could be consuming.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm like if you're gonna watch bad media for a bit, you better at least be doing something with it. Like, at least GGP watch Seed for content.
I don't know if that's a defensible. No one on GGP seems happy about that process.
No, but like, I guess I'm just like, if you know that, if you just are going to assume that if you're like, this show is bad or this show is mid and not going to watch it because question mark, then why there's better things. Like, sometimes
watch the first episode of Elfen Lied instead if you want like you're kind of a naked lady doing fun stuff. There you go.
Maybe there's value in like if you're watching something shitty with your friends and laughing at it, but even then,
yeah,
it's like if you're just like watching something bad for yourself, then go watch something good. There's good things.
If you want to watch like media with like very overt like sexual thematic overtones, may I recommend North by Northwest, which has the infamous penetrative train ending. That's what you're looking for. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't actually. I've never heard of this, and I don't know if I want to engage in it because
it's an Alfred Hitchcock movie. It's fine. You'll be fine. Okay, it's not gross. Basically, it's an action thriller. And at the end of it, there is a bit where they plan to like two of the characters imply they're about to like have sex, and then the last shot is like a train going through a tunnel.
Okay,
so,
that's cheeky. That's funny.
It's
like Darling in the Franxx is like what 26 episodes, and there's like just a better 26 episode animes out there.
Yeah,
or even two better 12 episode animes.
Yeah, I think probably a very limited amount of people in this world just say don't watch Darling in the Franxx instead of watch North by Northwest. But it's true. You get better, have a better time there. Okay. This is actually finished the email. Basically, they just said, I'm looking forward to the podcast. World Weary, time to display Zach / a very fine cat from the future. Thank you again so much for your email. Yeah. And message from Manny. Email. The feud is back on. Okay, well, that's not good. That's a bummer. We'll figure that out. What?
When he said that?
It's a friendship can be a tough and arduous road sometimes. Looks like this is about the end of our journey here through Orguss.
Much like Lieutenant did, we pressed the second bomb, and now Alt Q is going back to its own feed. Never again will Ultraman be on this feed.
Yeah. I could probably mention it at some point during a Robotech episode with Manny, and he'll be like, "That sounds like baby stuff." Yeah. And most of the time he'll be right. To be honest, a lot of Ultraman.
We're starting Leo in January /February.
That's very very exciting.
I'm looking forward to it.
I will try to keep up with that there when it begins because Leo is great, and I will bug you about that when it happens as well.
Nice.
I'll be excited. Leo's great. Leo's just this iconic, great show. It's one of the all-time best tokusatsu shows of all time, in my opinion. Some of the funniest like stuff, like insane creative choices there. Everything about it is so cool. In a way I just do not feel anything the way of like the majority of like other Ultra stuff.
I know I'm obviously higher on the other Ultra stuff myself, but I am looking forward to Leo because I know
hopefully it's a higher peak for you. Yeah,
we'll see.
Yep. We will be, I think, on the third episode of Southern Cross or whatever. I don't know, look at the podcast. Next episode of Robotech and Southern Cross for our feed. Not directly scheduled, but as I said, once we get this feud with Manny again settled out, we'll have that soon. And for whatever fun projects that may come in the future as well, please just keep your eyes peeled on this feed. And no social media or whatever, but I guess if you know me on Discord, feel free to message me.
My feeds. By feeds, I mean social media. You can follow me at Dick Crowns on Twitter /Blue Sky, and you can go to altqpod@gmail.com. Why did I say my email for the podcast? There's at Twitter. There's at ultra_q. That's QUUE. And on Blue Sky, it's the same thing without underscore because Blue Sky's like that. And come listen to us if you want to hear about Ultraman, and at least an hour of us not talking about Ultraman.
Yes.
We're watching Taro, and we're watching the currently airing show Arc.
Are you planning to cover Big Man Japan at any point?
You're gonna have to remind me what that is.
That is a 2007 kaiju parody film about a guy that fights kaijus just by growing very big. And there's like an Ultraman parody at the end.
That makes sense to be an Ultraman parody at the end. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
We did the Guyver movies. You remember we did those.
The Guyver movies, I'd say Big Man Japan is much more Ultraman coded than the Guyver movies.
Yeah,
so that's the thing there.
I mean, we did the Guyver movies because Brad really wanted us to watch movies, which I think is a good reason to watch. Sometimes we just gotta be selfish.
Yeah, that's very true. I'll be the one person out there being that you should all watch the Chinese Ultraman movie, the illegal one, just because I think it'd be funny, even though it's not actually subbed in English as of this point. So that'd be very hard.
That is one of the issues. Is like if it's not translated in English, it's kind of a big barrier to us watching. Still waiting for the fucking Blaze movie, which is now on Blu-ray, to be put on the Feline website.
Oh yeah. I saw that too. I'm excited to see that as well. What a fun little cast there for that. I mean, I see. There's a untranslated version of it already up on there, but
I think it's Chinese subs. But like the Mill Creek Blu-rays came out yesterday, and so now I'm just patiently twiddling my thumbs for someone to take it from the physical disc onto the World Wide Web.
Yeah, so someone, if you speak Japanese, get that done for us, please. If you speak Chinese, find the fucking Dragon Force movie and do that so that Mel is forced to watch it. For how see how excited Mel sounds right now.
New translation for fucking the Ultraman, the 1979 anime, because the subs for that are official are apparently terrible.
Maybe a little more important than Dragon Force. Anyway, go follow, check out our stuff. It's all cool. It's all good. Mel, thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
If you want me back, I know there's like the other Megazone stuff, because I know only Megazone 1 is a Robotech thing. So that offers on the table. If you want to do Megazone 2 and 3. But I'm sure we could fit you on there at some point. That's presumably a while away, because you still have to do like Southern Cross and Mospeda, but we
gotta finish the show. No, that'd be good. And then if you want to, you've seen a little bit of Mospeda, right?
Not yet. No, I'm waiting for. I'm just gonna watch it with you guys when you get to it.
Okay. Wow. So it might be good, like for episode 1 to get like into Mospeda. Always fun for still a while in the future, but less so.
I mean, Sega says there's like Orguss influence / overlaps. That'd be interesting.
Yes, and then Manny will just be like, well, that shit all sounds dumb. And I'll be like, okay, Manny, thanks. It was a lot of fun doing this with you. I really appreciate taking the time to do this.
It's fun.
It's good.
A fun project. I'm glad I could keep your feet alive a little while longer.
On his last legs, my Patreon money stopped coming in.
I feel like I made that. Keep the numbers rolling in while Manny's off in East Skyland.
My girlfriend sending me $100 per month for my Patreon just so I won't break up with her. It's very sad. Not a very toxic relationship right now, unfortunately, but we're working through it through Robotech, through the ghost of Carl Masek. May he protect us all.
Yeah, you need to watch Ultraman Rising so you can see the other Ken Sato.
I've seen Rising. It's great. It's really good.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's a good, it's a good movie.
It's up there. Ultraman Rising. Yeah.
You, the audience, go watch Ultraman Rising and then go listen to our podcast about it.
Yeah, even if you're not Toku brained, honestly, because like I've like Toku's a very specific thing, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the nice thing about Ultraman Rising is it is more like of just American animated movies. So if you're not like if you don't have like the Toku brainworms, then at least there's still something there for you that Ultraman shaped.
Yeah, exactly. Man, my friends are rewatching. Well, I guess one of my friends is showing his wife King Oger for the first time, and that the show is great.
Yeah,
I love show. One of the I think just one of the best tokusatsu shows of all time. It's fantastic, like all the way through.
Yeah, it's good. Boom Boomcher is like not as exciting as some of the previous seasons, but Sentai's just been a good place lately.
I fell off Boom Boomcher. Is it like gotten like more interesting or anything past three episodes?
I think it's got fun stuff, but it also is a little bit more standard, so isn't as exciting. I just think Zenkaiger to King Ocher are just like, damn, this is like firing all cylinders. You're just doing cool shit for all three of these shows.
Yeah, we're watching. Me and my friends are like all watching through Gokaiger right now, and I have a little list of the things of like, hey, here's where a anniversary show is, or anniversary episode, and so we're gonna watch some episodes from that show before, and sometimes like for Jetman we're gonna watch like 15-20 episodes because Jetman's really good, and like a lot of it plays into it.
Fucking rules.
And then I think oh, go ahead.
Oh, continue. I'll say anything after.
For Ginga, like we're on the Ginga Man one right now, and I was like, I think that show kind of sucks. We watched like the first and 26th episode.
Yeah, my friend Courtney, who's a big Sentai fan, a few months ago she told me she's watching Ginga Man. Yeah, it's funny how the show is like a better Zyuranger, and then a few months later I talked to her, I was like, so how's Ginga Man? She's like, actually this show sucks too.
Yeah. Sad. I don't like
Kobayashi didn't find her sauce yet till Timer.
Yeah. Fun costumes though.
I'm dumb because I'm somehow in like 3 separate Sentai seasons. I'm watching with 3 separate friends, which is hard to make progress. But
smart. It's that.
They'll get done eventually. They'll get done eventually.
What are those 3 right now?
So my friend Courtney, I'm watching Opera Ranger because that's her favorite Sentai.
Sorry, which one? Opera Ranger?
Opera Ranger.
Okay.
With another friend of mine who I watched Bioman with, and now we watched a couple episodes of Changeman.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big Bioman guy. I really like that one.
Bioman's fun.
Bioman is a very, very silly one. I love Red is such a loser in that one, which is really funny.
Yeah, and then another friend I watched Mega Ranger with, and now we're watching Go-Go 5.
Mega Ranger is really good too. I like that one.
Yeah, I love Mega Ranger. Just one of my favorite seasons. It's so good.
Go-Go 5, I am much less stand on. I could go.
I'm still early on. I like the energy he has so far, but Mega Ranger is just a hard thing to match up to.
Yeah.
And also on my own, I've kind of like stalled on Bokenger.
Yeah. No, but Bokenger is
I think we talked about it. I like the 6, and I think I need more from the cast.
Yeah. The problem with like most Sentai, a few problems. Like when Sentai just do not have a good cast, it's like there's no saving it, right? And
yeah,
five boring people.
It's the formula, but you need the characters.
That's like the whole point. So like for like Go-Go 5, I don't care about any of those people whatsoever, except for Asuka's voice actor, isn't it? Just as
she is
like
so fucking weird. I lost my mind because like, wait a minute, is that Asuka? I don't know,
she's good
person and not animation on screen.
Yeah, it is very, very strange. But no one else is.
Jetman really has one of the guys of all time, so that shows just a good time.
Jetman, I like basically all the cast of Jetman.
Yeah, they're all good. I feel like
I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like the show focuses on like some characters more than others, but I do like everyone.
Yeah, I like Red is like not interesting by himself, but I like the love triangle he's a part of, and the show plays that very well.
He's interesting bouncing off other characters because he has like both Guy and Quarry in the life triangle, and also he has his his ex-girlfriend turned evil to bounce off of and anguish over. And meanwhile, you have like fuck, I feel bad for forgetting her name. Akko, I think, the blue.
Mm-hmm.
She's just fun. I just like her. She doesn't get as much screen time, but she's like, hey, if you want me to be Jetman, pay me. In their introduction, it's good.
And Pink's like, yeah, I'm rich, sure, whatever. I got money. They said this is nothing to me. I don't. And she's too polite to even do the oh ho ho thing.
Yeah.
That's why I love King Gojo. King Gojo 5-star cast. I love every single one of those people.
Oh,
so much.
fantastic!
So good. God, they're so good. My friend just recently got a Jeremy tattoo. That's how big. Into, he is. A little spider Kubanos. Yeah, it's very very cool. It's rough when they don't have the good cast there. The other thing I said that's like bad is the mech fights are usually some of the most boring things that are put on television.
They're better in the 90s and the 80s where they don't feel as perfunctory, and like the toyeticness hasn't made the robots just like incomprehensible. Like they still move like you'd expect them to.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm a bit more negative than you. I feel like having seen all the 90s one, I think basically the only good ones are the only good fights are in King Gojo, and I think basically all the mech designs are ugly, very sadly.
Oh, you don't like Biorobo?
Like on a sliding spectrum, I like Biorobo, but if you're going to ask me what are the top 100 cool looking robots of all time, none of the Sentai guys.
I mean, we're I don't think you should put Sentai mechs next to actual mech anime, but when we're working with what we work with here.
Well, here's the thing though, is that sometimes Sentai mechs can look really cool. You're watching Bioman. The Bioman, they have like a new robot every week, and those look cool as hell. They can make them look cool. They just choose not to for the main ones. That's not like a fault of the production.
No.
It is just a part of the design. It just constantly.
I fucking love Tetra Boy from Jetman because he's just fucking. He just likes punching. He's an AI punching robot.
Yes, Tetra Boy with his like little bouncy bar. I love his. He's fun. I don't love his still design by itself, but I do have love in my heart for Tetra Boy. Some like individual robot guys are cool. I like that, like the samurai one, like one of the very early ones too is fun. But anyway, those are our Sentai corner.
That was a fucking tangent and a half. The Sentai segue coming to Do You Remember Robotech?
Yeah, I could not do a Sentai show because if it's like not one I'm super into, I'd just be so bored. I would be.
I've made a segment on LQ called Sentai Segue where like I talk about the Sentai shows I finished because I'm like, I'm not gonna I have an Ultra podcast. I'm not gonna fucking do a Sentai podcast. That's someone else's territory.
Yeah.
I'd like someone to do that.
The space one, the one where there's like huge casts in space. Do you know what I'm talking about? What?
Q-Ranger?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I like that one. I fell off it when it was airing. Yeah, Lucky. Lucky is like kind of annoying in the first half, the first few episodes of the show, but it gets better over time. Like I like him a lot by the second half of the show.
Yeah.
The Tsurugi, the 6/12th Ranger is just a fun guy. Good cast. It was a show where like I watched like 6 episodes while it was airing and I didn't like it, and then came back to it a couple years later and was like, you know what, I do like this. I think it's pretty good.
I hope I like it. I'm gonna have to watch it because King Gojo did a crossover with him, and I'm so King Gojo pilled that I will do anything it asks of me.
Do they do? I have to look that up.
Yeah, it is a Osama Sentai King Gojo in space. That is a crossover with O-Ranger, Deca Ranger, Koryuger, and Q-Ranger. So guys from that all show up.
Yeah, I have a lot of Sentai gaps, obviously, because there's so much of it.
Yeah. And Koryuger is good, by the way. The dinosaur one. I don't think it's not a super popular one, but I really like the cast for that one too. Especially Osan, who's just like a blue, who's like 30, and everyone's like, "Wow, you're ancient," which becomes less and less funny as I approach 30. But anyway, yeah.
So okay. I try to give myself permission to just say, if I'm not fucking with a Sentai show, I can just not watch. But
that's totally fine. You don't want to, since you're already doing a Toku podcast, you don't want to burn yourself out on the end.
Yeah, I want to watch more Sentai, but I shouldn't push myself through the ones that I'm not caring about.
Yeah, and like honestly, Sentai, like I don't think any Sentai show is like going to like none of them have themes, right? So if you're not enjoying them within the first few episodes, they're not going to.
They have themes like Zoo Rangers, dinosaurs, Tokyo Rangers,
Okay.
ninjas.
Wow. Game of Thrones. The one thing I know about Game of Thrones is that one comment they made was like, themes are for book reports. When people told them the show sucked. Themes are also for dinosaurs. It turns
guys who are like checking off of how shallow their own stuff is.
Yes,
which is not a good place to be in.
They should do a cowboy one. That'd be fun. Cowboy theme. Bring back trains.
Yeah, instead of apparently doing dinosaurs again, like they seem to be doing next year? ?
Yeah, look, Japanese kids are only like they grow up. They got to do a dinosaurs every few years for those kids to see.
They've been doing it like on less and less cycles, like 5-year gaps instead of 10-year ones.
Yeah,
it's kind of ridiculous.
I mean, dinosaurs are cool, you know.
They are.
I get it,
but there's like lots of themes from like they've only done like once, like Well, I'm sure someone could look that up.
They've only done one train one.
Trains,
for example.
Rescue.
A lot of the early ones. Oh yeah, I don't need another rescue. That's fine. They should do an anime. That'd be fun.
Akiba Ranger is that?
Oh,
I haven't seen Akiba Ranger.
that's like your theme. Okay, anyway. Thanks again so much for listening to all this. Please check us out again on those things.
Thank you for this journey. We couldn't have done it without you. That's a lie. We kind of just did this ourselves.
With all your thousands of Patreon dollars, you did not tell Mel about Mel. Sorry, I owe you thousands of dollars from this project. You will not receive except if you go to court. Mel, please say goodbye to the audience and say for the last time the line.
Once again, before the final time, it's organ time.